Nights.
All right, welcome. And big cut out of that song. Welcome to Keep Your Head Up Hockey. I'm your host, Jamie Young. Thanks so much for tuning into our regular show. We have Wednesday shows when the Leafs don't play. And the Leafs aren't playing until tomorrow. So here's our regular show. Jamie Young, Coach Nose, and James Bruce in the house, Big J Dog. How's everybody doing? I'll throw it over to J Dog.
All good down here in the sunny south. We're not getting dinged by any big storms. We've had a couple of little rainstorms go by, but nothing serious. And as per usual, 32 degrees and sunshine.
Love it, love it. And how's Coach Nose doing?
Busy as heck, boys, as per usual, man. Being a head coach of the young U11 team is like I needed to throw that into my already hectic schedule. Plus, day job stuff, boys. You know how it goes. Got to make a living a little bit till we get more viewers on this podcast. Let's go.
Yeah, and busy life here in New Brunswick as well. My 7-year-old just started hockey this year. We got the team together. He had hockey last night and has hockey on Saturday. So definitely a busy schedule. Oh yeah. But Core 4, again, you guys are the best. Thanks so much for tuning in. And a big thank you goes out to Nate Gravel. He was on the show this week, and I just wanted to give him a big shout out and a big thank you. We really appreciate you coming on the show. It was a really good interview with Nate, and I really, really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thanks so much. If you haven't seen that interview, it is on our podcast page, so definitely check that out. Do appreciate you doing so. But yeah, let's get right into the show. Definitely want to talk about the Leafs game. Yeah, all fine.
I think we should do a shout out to his dad, because I think his dad's spreading that freaking interview more than double the amount of viewership we have. Glennie Gravel.
Thanks to Nate's dad. And hey, also to Elmira Sugar Kings. Did a home and home with my old team I used to call for, the St. Thomas Stars, and they beat them both times. So hey, shout out to the Sugar Kings up here in the GOJHL. But a big letdown last night, I thought. We had a great game against Tampa Bay. The Leafs played well, and we go to Columbus. Maybe it was the flight in after the tough game against Tampa, or I don't know really what it was, or something in the water. They played absolutely terrible. That is not the Berube style of hockey that we've seen this year, and it was a big letdown. Like 6-2, and Hildeby didn't look good. We didn't look very well in the middle of the ice. Like, I just thought it was a big letdown. But you know what? The Leafs are allowed to lose. I'll throw it out there. They're not going to win 82 games this year. We all know that. They're going to throw up some stinkers. But it's kind of funny, though, that we lose to the Habs and Columbus of all teams, and beating, a team like Tampa the night before. Just, kind of a letdown. But we'll throw it over to Coach Jose, get his thoughts, and then have J-Dog comment. What are your thoughts on last night's game, Coach Jose?
Well, 3 games in 4 nights. So, cue the excuses, right? But obviously the team's going to be like, we have no excuse. And they don't. They're professionals. They're supposed to be better. Maybe, Berube is not happy about it. Obviously, the whole team's not happy about it. The fans are not happy about it. It's a terrible performance. And Hildeby looked like an AHL goalie or less on some of those shots. He just wasn't feeling it. It was only his second start in the NHL, and I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know what got to him, but obviously the puck got to him and threw him pretty easily, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing, okay? So, as a coach, I kind of put a little bit of this on Berube and his lineup. If you are playing 3 games in 4 nights, then you have to shake it up a little. And there was probably guys, Dewar could have drawn in. There was probably guys that could have drawn into that lineup. Reeves should have been out. They could have put somebody else in. I don't know. I think Pacioretty was hurt, so he did not play, which kind of stung us a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, if you're playing that much hockey in that many nights, then bring up a couple of guys. throw a few guys in there. You already got Hildeby getting to start. So I put a little bit of onus on Berube for not managing his lineup based on the schedule and not managing that schedule last night.
Yeah, true. Good comment. I really agree. You know, it's yeah, that was kind of shocking with Pacioretty not starting again. I don't know what's going on with him, but you know, what are your thoughts here, Dog? Dog, what are your thoughts on the game last night?
I think again the time frame as far as the amount of games and the amount of nights, that's part of it. I also think, whether you want to mention it or not, the Johnny Gaudreau issue, I think people coming in there's a lot of guys on the Leafs that actually knew him, well. I know Austin Matthews was pretty good buddies with him. So I don't know. You know, there's certain things in sports you see happen. That team's not likely going to beat too many teams this year, I don't think. And the high end teams, they're going to win some games, but I still think they're going to be bottom of the barrel most of the year, and they're not likely going to make the playoffs. So sometimes, you know, when you get a team that's when there's a tragedy that happens, you know, there's always those sports stories, right? And I honestly think that there's something to that there. That didn't look like an NHL team altogether. It didn't look right. It didn't look like they were trying. And honestly, it just didn't look like they were trying. It was like they were letting them win. And Columbus is an AHL team right now. It's not even an NHL team. They've got 5 good players in the team. They've got 1 good goalie, and he's not even, you know, he's not playing. He's a good goalie, but he's not a top 5 goalie by any means. He's not even a top 10 goalie, I don't think. But so if you think about the way that the team is right now and what's going on, I think that might have been a gift, if you want my honest opinion.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, like honestly, man, like talking about going into there and knowing that the mood and the temperature is going to be a little bit different. That's a major blow to that organization. And I think you're right on point with that. Like, I think the Leafs felt like they weren't going to go in there and just crush them. But, like, how many opportunities, Jamie, did we have last night? Like, Nylander gets the puck in front. What was he? He flubbed it. I mean, this team was just not playing offensively the way they needed to. That's the bottom line.
They didn't. They were like night and day compared.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Well, they're night and day compared to, you know, the night before in Tampa Bay. Like, that was a really great effort, you know, and they were all firing at all cylinders. I just thought that it was they were terrible in the middle of the zone, the middle of the ice, like just losing pucks and giving it away. It was just it was something to watch, you know. And I ended up turning it off and then watch the highlights after, because I just got pissed off, to be honest. I just was kind of just disgusted with it. But going back to Jay's comment, you know, I never even thought about it, how hard it is to go into that building after what had happened, you know, and the memories probably flood back, you know, and you know, about talking to him in the in between like going in and talking prior to the game, because obviously you know, like prior to the game, you know, like the guys would talk for sure, like by both teams, right? You're going into somebody else's building. Matthews is going to talk to him, right? So yeah, it's a little bit harsh. I never even thought about that, and yeah, that's like kind of like the stuff that we don't realize as, you know, fans, you know, like that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a major impact. Yeah, everybody's a human, right? Everybody's friends, and there's more than just hockey when it comes to life, right? So yeah, it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit harsh, but thanks for bringing that up, because that is a valid comment.
Monahan got a goal last night, and he was good buddies with Gaudreau. Yeah. So maybe they weren't, you know, we've all played the game, and, you know, when somebody's out there and they've gone through a tough time, maybe you're not giving them the business as much. You're not giving them the stinky mitt in the face, you know, like there's just certain elements that you need, especially at the highest level, to win a hockey game. And you're just not doing that because there's a part of you that just doesn't feel right about it. So maybe it's like one of those, they got the game out of the way. They got that game out of the way, and the next game is going to be a different story. However, remember when we came back against Columbus last year, I was thinking, like, there was a moment in my watching that game thinking, hey, this team could easily come back and score 4 goals in the third period, and then this is a whole new game.
Yeah,
Against Columbus.
Yeah.
So almost
it was 6-5.
Repeating.
Yeah, it was 6-5. We came back to that. Oh, gosh, Jay's internet keeps cutting out. We're gonna go back to
Jay's off the power grid.
Yeah, he's off again. That's okay.
Power grid.
Let's bring this up. Reeves, I thought his whole job was to drop the gloves, right? And he hasn't dropped the gloves all year. He doesn't get a ton of chances. He's not a great skater. Let's be honest here. Why dress this guy anymore? Is my opinion. If he's not going to fight, why even have him, be part of, be part of the team if he's not going to do his job? Reeves not dropping the gloves. He's not fighting. Why even dress him? And my thought is give somebody else a chance. Especially I guess a game like a team like Columbus, like we're not going to fight, against Columbus, probably not. Why dress them? Why not have somebody else come in and fill a spot and give somebody else a chance? Like you were mentioning earlier, Dylan. What are your thoughts on Reeves and maybe why is he playing?
I don't really know. I mean, I think he had a really good preseason. That fourth line was getting accolades all over the place. Fucking preseason, who cares? But Reeves was in there banging and crashing and creating plays, and that's what we need from him. Not just the fighting. Like, we need him in there patrolling, intimidating the other team. Why didn't he fight in the Rangers series? There was talk about he was asked to fight and he didn't. That was a close game, so I don't really blame him for fighting. It was a close game. I mean, they got 2 empty netters. It was 2-1 rate to the last 2 minutes. So I don't think he should have fought in that game. They're killing Tampa. Who's he going to fight in that game? And who's he going to fight? I mean, and based on what we just talked about with Columbus, who's he going to fight in the Columbus game, right?
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah. So I give him a little bit more rope. We'll see what happens in these next couple of games. But like I said earlier, like there's guys chomping at the bit to get on this team that had good camps that should or maybe could get called up. Connor Dewar being one of them, who's got speed, way more speed than Revo and Pontus Holmberg, in my opinion. And I'm sure we're going to see some changes tomorrow night to that lineup.
All right. J-Dog, what are your thoughts on Reeves and why is he playing or why shouldn't he play?
I think he's playing just fine. He's not playing horrible. The team didn't play well last night. Why he's not fighting? Well, he doesn't need to fight if nobody's doing cheap shots on his players. And there hasn't been a lot of rough stuff in any of the games except for the Montreal game, really.
Yeah.
So why, if your team's winning, you don't need to fight. And if you're going to fight 25 times you're going to fight 12 to 13 times in a year, maybe more than that, which he normally does. I think he's around 15 to 18 fights a year. I mean, in an 82-game season, when you're only playing probably 30 games at the most, you're not going to – he's getting older. Why would you make him fight if there's no reason to fight? Or why would you fight if you're him if there's no reason to fight, especially when you're not playing horrible? And, like you said, this preseason, like the first few games there, like the fourth line was all over the other teams. Now, so there's the visibility of who he is. You got to run around with your head on a swivel. There's the fact that you can, if he can press the other team in their own zone and keep them in their own zone and do what he's supposed to do as far as the fourth line is concerned, which is bang and bash the other team. And as long as he's doing that, he's doing his job. He doesn't have to score goals. He doesn't have to set up goals, and he doesn't have to fight unless he needs to. Now, can a fight change the game? Yeah, you're fucking right. It can. There's no doubt. I think it's a good thing to have a fight every once in a while. But if you don't have to, and you can kind of reserve yourself for later in the season when it actually counts, why not? It's the first few games of the season. They didn't lose because of him. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. I just thought that, maybe a fight might have changed, a couple games this year, kind of impact, pump up the boys kind of thing. That's kind of why I wanted to bring that topic to the show. But yeah, both great answers, boys. I appreciate them.
I'm just going to say one more thing. If I'm going to say that Berube wants to see what he has first as a team without the toughness, play physical, but without the fighting. They know that Reeves can fight. They know that he can. They know that there's a couple of guys on the. I think Benoit can probably fight too, and a couple of the other guys can fight as well. I don't think Domi can fight. They've got Pacioretty, I think, is a big enough dude. If he wanted to fight, he can handle himself. And that I think Berube wants to see that physical part of the team without the fighting. He wants to see if they can win without fighting, without the toughness. They brought in tougher guys. They brought in bigger guys. But I think he wants to see what they have. And, it might take 10, 12 games. They're not going to lose a lot of games, boys. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they're not going to lose a lot of games. There's no worries here, and it's way too early in the season to be crying or complaining about losing 3 or 4 games.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Like I said, the Leafs are allowed to lose, and they're going to
unless
lose.
you bet on the Leafs.
But the Leafs are allowed to lose. We're not going to win 82 games, and there's going to be some stinkers, and there's going to be some learning along the way. And then, sometimes those games that you lose are the most impactful games, right? It's kind of a wake-up call to say, you know what, we could have been better tonight, and this is how we could have been better. And here's the shifts that we could have been better on as a coach, to bring to the group. And obviously the Leafs have got tons of staff to help them when they're not on the ice, and there's a lot of learning going on in that locker room, in that dressing room during the year. So yeah, you know what? It's a loss, but we'll move on. It was a stinker. But hey, Matthews is playing well. He's heating up, boys. Wanted to talk about this as well. I think that he's starting to get back into his groove. Is he having the start like he did last year? Absolutely not. Is he going to score 70 goals? Probably not. I think it's the pressure of wearing the C as well. That's not an easy feat. Like if you're looking back at some of the captains that captain this team, like just recently as well as way back when, there's a lot to live up to there, right? But I think that the weight of that C is definitely pulling him down a little bit. But I think he is getting back into that groove, and Matthews is starting to play his type of game, and it's great to see. We'll throw it over to Dylan. What do you think here about Matthews and the year he's already had, and how he's starting to heat up?
But he's an absolute magician with the puck. I think his hands got even better. Like the way he can manipulate that puck on his stick in the corners, just anywhere he goes, he's so bloody dangerous. And the rest of the team just has to help him get better, or help him get in those dangerous areas and be better and draw some of the attention away. And that's why I did want to bring up a really, like, the one positive thing from last night was the fact that Nick Robertson got on the board. And I think that now that he's on the board, I think we're going to see guys like him and other potential, goal scorers. Like Nylander's already lighting it up. Marner's good for points. Domi's been making some sweet plays and some good passes. So as long as the other guys are keeping the pressure on, the other teams will have no choice but to redirect some of their attention to those guys and give Matthews those opportunities. Obviously, he should be getting more points on the power play. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this power play. I don't know why it sucked. It sucked last year. It sucked the year before. And that's where Matthews should be getting the goals. That's where this team should be the number one power play in the league. I think they're at like 13, 14% right now. I don't even know if they had maybe 1 or 2 against Columbus last night. So that is the Matthews. That's where you're going to see Matthews really make a difference. And so, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about what's going on with this power play? It's supposed to be better under the new coach, but
13% this year and 26 in the league so far for the power play. You are damn right. Matthews should definitely be getting more power play goals on those chances. What are your thoughts, J-Dog, on our new captain, Pappy, and how he's played this year? And is he really heating up?
Oh, I would imagine that things aren't going to be much different than last year. I think he'll be more around the 50-goal range this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, putting the C on his chest puts a little bit more of a target on him. The only, not the only, but the thing that's good for him though is that this team is way more balanced than it was last year. They all lines have a possibility of scoring or at least contributing and keeping the puck in the other zone, in the opposing team zone. And I think the big issue with what you were saying about him as far as the magician wise and how much stronger he looks, this guy is 27 years old. He's just coming into his man weight. There's a difference between adult weight and man weight. And when you hit it twice in your life. You hit it around 27, you hit it again around 38, 36, somewhere in there. And that's why you'll see resurgences in old men careers where guys like Pacioretty, he'll end up having, I think Pacioretty might end up having like a career year, even though I don't think he's going to get the amount of games that he should. But this guy is at that age. I think he's 36. And it's the same thing. He's at that second man weight thing where you get strength that you didn't have before. Yeah, you're not going to be as strong, but there's strength. You handle the stick, the puck so much quicker, so much stronger, so much faster, and you skate stronger. You may not be as fast, but you skate stronger. You look at that game the other night, Pacioretty was on fire. He was laying hits. He was hammering people. And he had some spring in his step. He was happy to be playing, and you can see it. It's the same thing with Matthews. I think he's hitting that man weight thing. He's getting stronger. He's physically stronger, and he's mentally smarter. He's played 7 years now? I think 7 years.
7 years now. Yep.
Yeah.
Seems like 7 years. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the thing is, he's played 7 years, and now he's got 7 years of not just learning, but not just learning the game, but learning his craft. But he's also learning about himself, and throwing the C on him is another challenge. That's it's going to be a learning process. So I think handling all the press, handling all that stuff, it's going to take 10 games, 12 games before he settles in like the way he should. And I bet you around the 10, 12 game mark, he goes on a tear.
All right. Well, we're 7 games in. And
7 years though. Just to cut in on the 7 years, you know what made me think of it? Did you guys ever see that? You guys need to Google that ad, the new NHL promotion ad about Gen Z, and he's like, "Yeah, we're lazy. Yeah, we're." He's like, it's like Jack Hughes or whatever, or Connor McDavid. They're like, sipping Mai Tais or something, or they're just like being all fancy.
Yeah,
Crosby at the end being like,
Kids these days.
Kids these days. Yeah, too funny, right? Yeah, no, it's a good one. Kind of last thoughts. We've got 2 games coming up that are going to be challenging, I think. St. Louis tomorrow, and then also we've got Boston on Saturday. Big game, I think, for the Leafs tomorrow, as Craig Berube gets to play his old team, his last team that he got fired from. That he led to the Promised Land. He led to the Stanley Cup Finals. Then they really shouldn't have been there, and then they win the cup. It's going to be a big game for him and a big test for the team, because I really think he wants to win that game, obviously, and it's going to be a really big test for this team, because he's going to challenge the boys. He's going to say, win this one for me, and I'll do this for you. There's definitely going to be, a deal made, I think behind the ice door, because this one's a big one for Berube. I really think he's gonna be, I'll take you to whatever dinner you guys want, all expenses paid, as long as you win this game. So yes, Leafs are allowed to lose, but I don't think this next one. What are your thoughts on that, J-Dog? And we'll throw it over to Nose there to close out the Leafs talk for the evening.
I think you got that one the absolute wrong. He's not going to say, I'll do this for you. He's going to say, if you don't win this, I'll kick your ass myself. I guarantee you. The Chief doesn't take any shit, and he's not going to be giving charity. He's going to tell them they need to work their fucking ass off, and they need to win it for him, because if they don't, it'll be bag drive skates every day for the next 2 weeks. I guarantee you.
I love it. I love it. Nose, what are your thoughts on the big St. Louis game coming up tomorrow?
You know what? I haven't caught too many St. Louis Blues games. I haven't seen that team play much this year. I know they had a line brawl against former Leaf Tyler Bertuzzi, and the
Yeah, they
Chicago
did.
Blackhawks. I caught a bit of that. So I don't know. This team, they might seem feisty. So we'll see. They've had a handful of wins, obviously this year, a couple close games, but they did get dunked on by the Blackhawks in one of those games, and also lost to them in the preseason. So I don't know. It's going to be again. I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be a close one, back and forth battle. And the Leafs, they can't take a team like this lightly. And yeah, they're in tough tomorrow, and they can't look ahead necessarily to Boston because that's going to be a big game too. So they got to focus one game at a time to be as cliche as possible here.
All right. Let's move the conversation to the West Coast because I know that a lot of Canadians are thinking the same thing. Boy, oh boy, Edmonton has had another slow start to the year. You know, they finished really well last year, obviously making it to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals and pushing it to Game 7 in a really inspiring way. And we've all seen that video. I'd love to show it, but because we're live here, we can't because of YouTube rules. But boy, oh boy, what a video. And a lot of heart shown in the dressing room by McDavid, you know, saying, wake the fuck up. You know, it's not good enough. Boy, oh boy, what a video to see the passion finally come out of that kid. Like I've always said, he's got a personality of you know, of a wet
Not a very
towel, you
vibrant
know.
one.
No, he's a
Of a
wet
can of
towel.
paint.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he doesn't say much, right? But boy, oh boy, he wanted to win, and he really showed that and woke that team the fuck up. He really did. But boy, what a crappy start. They have not played well. And Connor McDavid, you know, I can't. It's not like he's not playing well. 7 games in, he's got 8 points, he's got 3 goals, 5 assists. The kid's playing well. But as a team, as a whole, it's almost like they started again the same way. And a team that scores a lot of goals, they're 28th place for goals for. You know, and that's not a good start. That's not what they wanted to see. And it just looks bad. You know, they don't look good. You know, losing to, you know, Chicago, Winnipeg, obviously on fire. We'll talk about them here in a minute. But then also losing to Carolina. Dallas is a decent team, but lost to them. And it's just been a tough start for the Edmonton Oilers again. We'll end with J Dog, but we'll go to Nose. Coach Nose, what do you think about Edmonton and their slow start again?
I guess it's just a matter of the Stanley Cup hangover, the Stanley Cup runner-up hangover, in my opinion. But they had a slow start last year, if you remember, and they came out and made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So there's lots of hockey to happen here. But obviously, they got dunked on by the Jets. They got dunked on by the Blackhawks. They took a couple teams to OT and lost. So really, like, you flip those OT shootout, whatever, into a couple wins. And we're not really talking about this that much. But obviously, to only have, 2 wins so far this year for a team that, went to the dance, went to Game 7 and, came so close to winning it all. And I'm not worried about it. And we saw from Connor McDavid what, his spirit and his energy. If you go, I know you can't show clips because we're live, but if you go back to the clip of our very first Keep Your Head Up hockey show, we were lambasting this kid that he when he was captain, because he was named captain, and we said he didn't have the testicular fortitude to be able to stand up in the dressing room and say what he has to say. Obviously, we were wrong. Maybe we were right back then, but we were definitely wrong about that after seeing that playoff video. This guy is passionate, and he's not going to let this happen for very long. So I'm not too worried about the Edmonton Oilers not making the playoffs.
All right, J-Doc, what is your thoughts on Edmonton and the slow start and how they've go ahead.
Well, the video to me, that's something we've never seen before, but that's the way he's kept it. And I think that's the way the team has kept it. But you see, there was an interview I saw of him not that long ago, and it was supposed to be humorous, but I don't think it was. and it was about him saying, "Yeah, everybody calls me a robot. Everybody calls me lifeless. Everybody calls." He actually meant it. It was supposed to be humorous, but you could see that he meant it. Here's the thing. When have you ever seen him? You don't see interviews with him except for after the games, and he's either happy or he's sad because he's pissed off because he's lost, or he's or he's happy that he's won. And when he's won, he's been like everybody else. He's a little bit more calm and cool, collected than most people. But we've never seen the behind the closed doors stuff like that before. So we don't know that he could be like that all the time, And I never really thought about it that way either, because I was one calling him, like personality of shoe leather, just kind of, he looks like an old boot just sitting there. And I just, I've never been very judgmental when it comes to stuff like that in my life, but I definitely was with him. There's no question. And I believe I was wrong. I believe I was wrong. And I sorry to Connor, but I'm happy I seen that. It actually made me change my mind about him.
Absolutely.
I'm not
Yeah, a little bit
about, as far as the team's concerned, not concerned. They're still a good team. They still got a good defensive core. They still got a tough team to play against. They're fast. And let's face it, they've got, one of the best setup men in the league who's scoring 50 goals last year. And they've got two other guys that I don't know how many points between Draisaitl and McDavid got last year between the two of them.
And
but,
Hyman.
Well, that's what I mean. Hyman got 50 last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? So the worst player on that line got 50 goals. Jeepers. I'm not concerned.
I respect that franchise a lot. I think that they've got some great fans just like ours that are diehards that, fill the seats every night, that actually show up and cheer their head off. I'm telling you. So I wish, a Stanley Cup for that franchise. I hope that we get ours before them, but I really do wish Stanley Cup for that team and that franchise. They really deserved it last year and just came up short. So, shout out to Edmonton. I'll be watching, and I hope that's you turn it on and start playing well. But another team out west that's playing well, boy, oh boy, the Calgary Flames are absolutely on fire. Boy, oh boy, these guys are playing well. Anderson, Ramus Anderson leading the way, 8 points. Huberdeau, even Kadri, I'm stepping it up already, and I'm loving it. And then, in net too, they've got a good tandem. They've got Dan Vladar and Justin Wolf, playing really well. A save percentage of .936, which is one of the best in the league. And then Vladar right behind him with .890. So not too bad, not too shabby, but they're playing well. I've got a cousin out there that lives in Calgary. That's diehard.
Hellebuyck?
No, that's Winnipeg, big guy. That's Winnipeg. But yeah, Calgary, Wolf, just absolutely playing well.
My bad. I was thinking out west. Fucking
yeah, and I'm telling you, my cousin is a diehard in Calgary. Same thing with Vancouver. These Calgary fans have diehard fans, and I wish them the best. They really want, going from last in the league to first place in the league right now. Playing well, and love to see it. A big win the other night here, and that was against Carolina, and that was in overtime or shootout, I believe. So you got to love that. Absolutely playing super well. Let's throw it over to J-Dog. What do you think about the Calgary Flames and them being on fire so far this year?
Well, I'll be honest. The goaltending, I don't know much about these two goalies. I really have never heard much about them ever in my life, or in their life for that matter. I never really. I'm baffled with how well they're playing. I actually did watch 2 of their games this year, so I was pretty impressed. And as far as I'm not unsurprised or unsurprised. Is that even a word? I'm not surprised with the way that they're playing. Really, when you consider their top 2 lines and their defensive core, it's a good team. It's a very good team. I think that their fourth line definitely could use some changing around, but the rest of the team is actually very solid. And I think Kadri's, like, as much as a lot of people hate him, he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He's very similar to Marchand. He's not quite as skilled as Marchand as far as scoring goals, but he does all the same things. He'll fight though, even though like he's not very good at it. He still will. Joe Thornton can attest to that, and his beard's still laying on the ice there, and, somewhere I can't remember where that fight was. But anyway, point being, I think Kadri's still a very effective player. Huberdeau is definitely one of the, they're both this team. The team is underrated. It is all the players that are on that team. Name somebody on that team that would be a number one player on another team. Almost nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's pretty much nobody would be a number one player on another team. However, they have a consistency pretty much through their top three lines, and they're all pretty darn good. And the defense core is pretty solid.
Yeah, they're playing pretty solid and having a great start. What are your thoughts here on the West Coast Calgary Flames?
Well,
Mr. Nose?
I have a slightly different take on the Flames' start to the season. Yeah, they've got a good record. If you look at the record, it's great. They haven't really dunked on any team per se. They lost in overtime to the Kraken. They squeaked one out against the Flames. So there's a couple of wins there that weren't exactly, write home to your wife about, honey, I did so well tonight. Really, they were down 4 goals against the Canucks and battled back. They put up 6 against the Flyers. I think a couple of those were empty netters. So, like you said, you look at this team and you don't see a whole lot of superstardom. You see, good players, decent players. Obviously, Nazem Kadri comes to mind, but he's older now. He's aging. He's a veteran guy. He's not as scrappy as he used to be. He's had to change and adapt his game a little bit to fit into what he needs to do to be successful on the ice, and he has. So credit to Kadri for that, obviously, and credit to the goaltenders. Would you say Lyon and Wolf? No, who's the goaltenders? What's the other guy? Wolf. Who's the other guy?
Wolf and Vladar.
Oh, Vladar. Yeah, I like Vladar. He's come out strong against the Leafs a couple times. I remember. Yeah, they should get Lyon. Imagine they had Lyon and Wolf as their goalies. That would be unbelievable. The zoo. They have the zoo back there. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Maybe trade deadline day. But yeah, I mean, again, my take is don't get too hot and heavy about these Calgary Flames. In my opinion, I think that they will cool off and get doused. They will be somewhere in the middle, and you will see the Oilers, showing who they truly are. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be strong and on top of that division. And then the Flames they'll make the playoffs, but they will be in there, just in there, in my opinion.
All right. Well, let's jump over to right in the middle of Canada, the cold Manitoba. It's going to be starting to get cold, but the Winnipeg Jets are blasting off and keeping it hot in Winnipeg. 6-0 this year. And I got to say, man, I said it before, this Connor Hellebuyck guy is something else. He is by far the best goalie in the league, and he's showing it again. He's had 5 starts. He's .948 in save percentage, 134 saves, 127 saves, and he's had shots against 134. So the guy's let in 7 goals this year, and that's quite impressive over 5 games. And I know that Jay, and we'll get to Jay here in a minute. I know that he's a huge fucking fan of this team. He loves the Jets, but I gotta say, man, it's this guy, Scheifele. Scheifele. He leads this team. The games that I've watched, he's all over the ice. He's so impactful, and he plays every part of the game. He blocks shots, he takes shots, he tips shots. He's just all over the ice, throwing the weight. This guy will go to bat for you and try and win hockey games every single game he plays in. I absolutely love this guy. He's a gem and a leader in the league. So Hellebuyck and Scheifele leading the Winnipeg Jets this year to the start that they've had 6-0. I can see them probably going 10-0, 12-0. The run that they're on and how well that they're playing, I don't know who's going to beat them. I really don't know. J-Dog, what's your thoughts about your Jets, buddy?
Well, Four Nations Cup. Who's not on that team? Scheifele. What a big embarrassment to Canada. There's 9 guys on that team that don't deserve to be there, and he's in comparison to him. Okay, that's a joke as far as I'm concerned. Whoever's making this team is smoking crack. He's been doing weed before the crack, and then he was drinking friggin' rosé wine before that. This guy, whoever's making this team, doesn't know jack about hockey as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the team, to be honest with you. I don't think it's the best team we could have possible. And Winnipeg has, I think there's 2 other players on Winnipeg that can be on that team. So this team is, they've got one of the best captains in the league, if you want my honest opinion. They've got the best goalie in the league, or at least in the top 3. I still think he's the best goalie in the league. I don't like saying that because he's American. That bothers me. I'm a little biased with Canadian players, so it bothers me. And I believe their captain is American as well, so that bothers me. I think so. No, he was. It was last guy. What's his face there? I'm having a brain fart now. But anyway, point being, this team
Wheeler?
speed. Scheifele is definitely not only as he one of the best players in the league, he's probably the smartest player in the league when it comes to hockey IQ. And as far as knowing about hockey, actually knowing about the game, apparently he is like a freaking Trivial Pursuit whiz when it comes to knowledge of hockey. He's supposed to be like super genius when it comes to hockey stats and stuff like that, which I believe because he just knows the game well and you watch the way he plays it. But Connor and like as far as he's concerned, underrated. The whole team is. You don't hear about them. They're in the middle of Canada. They're in Manitoba. The only thing you hear about, Winnipeg as a town is how cold it is. They call it Winterpeg for a reason, and it's not. It's just not heavily advertised. It's a very small market. I think what is it, like 12 or 14,000 for the rink? It's not very much. It's a smaller rink, and it's I think 14. I think something like that. Anyway, and they're not advertised. That's why you don't see the games, and it is in a weird time zone, as far as the games are concerned. So I don't think a lot of people watch them. So and they're. I don't know. I don't think they're heavily advertised. And I think if more people watch their games, they'd start to like the team a lot more. I think they're going to go deep this year.
All right. What's your thoughts, Coach Jose, on the Winnipeg Jets and their blast off this year and how they're playing?
Pretty amazing start. One thing about this team that it really impresses me, and that really shows that they're not a team of individuals, and it shows that you can't necessarily have a team with 1 or 2 superstars. And if you look at the statistics of this team, it is all scoring by committee. The top 2 guys have 8 points. The next 2 guys after that, or 3 guys after that, have 6 points. You go up and down this lineup, and everybody is contributing, and that is how you have a successful hockey team.
Yeah.
But I will say the caveat to that is they have had a pretty easy schedule. Not easy necessarily in terms of opponents, but their overall travel schedule, their overall time between games has been favorable. So that is a huge advantage to the beginning of the year. So, it helps, when you see that, when you look at that and you see that they're 6-0, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, let's see when they get into some like back-to-backs and a couple of nitty-gritties like we've seen on some other teams. So I think they're undefeated. Is the Rangers the only other team that's undefeated, something like that? So
the Rangers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, good for the Jets. They absolutely dunked on the Oilers. They dunked on the Sharks, which isn't a huge feat, but they put up 6 against the Penguins. So, this team is a team that can put the puck in the net a lot, and it's not just one guy. And I think that's the difference for this Winnipeg team, and they will be battling for the top of that division along with the Edmonton Oilers, despite their current situation.
Yeah, well, when you go goals for 4th place in the league, goals against first, power play the first, and as well penalty kill first, you're going to do well. And I hope that continues for the Winnipeg Jets. We've got them on our schedule, Leaf fans, on Tuesday. So lock in for that one. That's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a great game. So that's our league talk, all about, or league talk about the top teams, the ones that have really shined the most. Let's talk about the league leaders so far, boys. The guys that are putting the puck in the net and the ones that are playing the best. And really, I'm kind of shocked by this a little bit when I looked at it. And I kind of took a double take. Now, he's a great player, but he's a defenseman. Cal McCarr has 12 assists so far, 12 and 2 goals. So he's got 14 points and leads the league. And then, of course, we talked about him earlier on the show on the New York Rangers pregame, the Leafs. Panarin, who's got 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points with a plus minus of +4. And then Kucherov, obviously, he's always top of the league. This guy, the Lightning, a +6 with 12 points with 5 helpers and 7 goals. And then Ramhart and Mark Stone, McKinnon, Radin, Malkin, all at the top there. But, a little bit surprising with Makar, starting off that hot, 12 assists. Just, wow. I was kind of shocked by it when I saw it because I just didn't know until I looked. With only 7 games played. What are your thoughts on that, J-Dog? The top guys in the league and really with Cal McCarr really having that big of a start. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when you have the best defenseman in the league playing 32 minutes a game, I think that's what he's at. Was 29? I can't remember. Somebody was 32 minutes on that team.
Can't hear you, J-Dog.
Not at all? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I'll have you.
Yeah,
no, I think it's just me.
Yeah.
Just you.
One second here. There we go. My bad. It was me. I apologize.
I think, like I said, you've got this guy's playing around 30 minutes a game. He's the best defenseman in the league by a considerable amount, I would think. I don't think there's anybody that's close to him as far as skill level is concerned. He's not. He can still play physical as well. He doesn't have to because he skates so well. He mostly just rides people out. But if he wants to play physical, he plays physical. And the thing is, he can skate so well. He can do whatever he wants on that ice. He is the second coming of Bobby Orr. There's no question. He's more skilled than Bobby was, and he can skate a hell of a lot faster. You're comparing apples to oranges, but he can take over a game like Bobby could. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you have such skill up front like they do, they're solid all the way through. All 4 lines are very solid. They don't really have any bad players on the team. And of course, when you got guys like McKinnon, that take away their whole top line, takes away from Makar. Everybody's so focused on their top line. When Makar's on the ice, it's like he disappears. And he's so silky smooth. He fits, slides, snakes his way into positions that other people can't because they don't have the skill to skate like he does. And the puck handling ability. His puck handling ability is incredible at full speed. And when he's standing still, he can stick handle in a phone booth. Man, that guy he's just got it all. He is the consummate professional, and he's like, you don't hear anything bad about him. And he on or off the ice. And from what I've seen, any of the video stuff I've been looking at, he's at the rink, before everybody else. He's one of the guys that leaves the rink last, and he's doing all the right things to be who he is. So I'm not really that surprised. Maybe surprised that he's leading the league, but I'm not surprised that he's in the top 5 or 6 already. Because again, this guy here is as well, just like I was saying about Matthews, he's coming into his own. As far as being a man is concerned, he's starting to get a little bigger, a little heavier, a little stronger. In his case, he might even be getting a little faster, which is surprising. But he just knows the game now. He knows how to play the game, and he knows who he's playing against.
All right. We'll throw it over to Dylan Jose. What are your thoughts, buddy, on the league leaders and really, Cal McCarr being the big topic, leading the league in scoring right now?
Cal McCarr, man, he's got 2 points a game. He's on pace for 164 points. He's never had a 100-point season. He's going to get it this year for sure. 12 assists. He's getting some help from some pretty unexpected places with another name on that's not quite at the top of that overall points list Ross Colton on his team. So he started the season well with 6 goals, which is an unbelievable start for a guy who wouldn't even have been on your radar this year in terms of production and goal production in the first 7 games. He's just under a goal a game, which is unbelievable for a guy like Ross Colton. So good for him. Obviously, the rest of the list is all the usual suspects: Kucherov, Panarin, Everly, Kreider, Scheifele, blah blah blah. Good to see Tom Wilson though having a good start to the year with five goals as well. So whatever, we'll see what happens with Cal McCarr. Oh, sorry, he does have 2 goals, 12 assists. My bad, but in 7 games, which is the biggest surprise for me there. Again, this Colorado team is so good. They're going to be good this year. They're going to be fighting for that, fighting Vegas for that conference final against Edmonton or Winnipeg, in my opinion. So it'll be fun to see the points battle this year, and it's an interesting start for sure.
All right, and you know what? We're gonna end the show with kind of a interesting topic. I might get a little bit of hate on it for it, but kind of my opinion a little bit. I'm gonna throw it out there. Is Bedard a flake? Yeah, you know what? He had a decent year last year, but is all the hype really not going to end up producing? Because I'm telling you right now, he doesn't look that good this year. I haven't seen any highlights that wowed me. I haven't really been a fan this year at all. I was a fan last year. I thought he had a great year, but this year, it's just they're not really he's not really there. He's not really making an impact on the games that I've watched. And you might call me crazy. I might be wrong. I might be the only guy on the show that thinks this. But I wanted to bring it up because I was thinking it. We're gonna throw it over to J Dog. J Dog, what's your thoughts on Bedard? Is he really a flake? Is he going to be the real deal come year 2, or am I completely wrong?
No, I think you're wrong. And I mean, you look at all the attention this kid is getting when he's on the ice. I mean, did you see any of the Boston games? Anytime he's played against Boston, he tries to get off the ice, and he's been thrown in the Boston bench like several times. Marchand won't leave him alone, holds him up against the boards. The other thing is he doesn't stick up for himself. He's only stuck up for himself once that I've seen so far. I've seen probably about 15 games with him in it over the last, since last year. And he's only stood up for himself once that I've seen. So he's going to keep getting that kind of attention, knowing that he has that skill. And they're going to keep doing that because if they don't, Chicago doesn't have a lot. They've got a couple of good players there, but let's face it, they're rebuilding. And I think they're going to be rebuilding for a couple more years. But they're going to take every bit of attention away from him that they possibly can. Give him every bit of attention, I guess is a better way of putting it. They're going to take the ice away from him, and that's what they've been doing. He's not a big guy, so I think he may not have a great year this year, but I think he's still, again, getting back to man weight and stuff like that. He's still a pretty lean dude. I think by next year, you're going to see him get a little bit more physical. You're going to see him get a little bit bigger. And I think that's going to help him out in his game a little bit. I do say the one thing: if you have this much attention on you from the time you're 12, basically, to the time you're in the NHL and whatever, and you're living this kind of lifestyle that you can pretty much afford anything you want when you want, and you get what you want when you want because of who you are. Sometimes, you get a little bit like when you're youthful in that age group, it might get to you a little bit. So he's going to get a wake up call very soon, I would imagine, because if I don't argue with what you're saying as far as he's not playing well. He'll get benched sometime soon, and that'll be the end of it. It'll change.
And wake him up. All right. Well, let's throw it over to Coach Jose. His thoughts on Bedard, and then we'll wrap it up here for our regular show on the Wednesday. What are your thoughts on Bedard, and is he a flake?
No, he's not a flake. He's got 1 goal, but he's got 6 assists. He's a point a game for a kid. Come on, give him a break. And you know what? He's got a way better supporting cast than he did last year. But there's a lot of new faces on that team as well. So he's adjusting to that. He's got some guys to play with. Even Tyler Bertuzzi, Tara Vinen, even our old buddy from the Leafs, Ilya Mikheyev. This Blackhawks team is a much better, a much different team that we've seen in the first year of Connor Bedard's young career. Taylor Hall, this team is one to watch out for, in my opinion. And I think this is just the first 7 games. He still has a point a game, and he's adjusting to a whole new cast of characters that he's getting acquainted with this year. And in terms of goals, he's going to put up the numbers. There's no doubt about it. He's on pace for 16 goals. Same with Alexander Ovechkin, if you want to talk about the Ovechkin chase briefly. But Connor Bedard will get way more than 16 goals this year. He'll get 25 and probably at least 40 assists. I put him at 65, 70 points.
All right, folks. Well, you heard it here from the folks. I brought that up as a topic. He's not a flake. He's just not having the year.
Let's talk about Ovechkin. Is he going to get? Is he getting goals this year? He's on pace for 16. He got his first the other night. 42 goals left to go. What do you think, boys? For some reason, this is my favorite storyline of the entire year. And Matthews is not far behind him pace-wise to also flirt with crushing that record. But I would love to see it happen. I would love to see it happen against the Leafs. I wish it would happen at the Air Canada Center against the Leafs. That would be unbelievable. And that building would blow its top off for Alex, who scored many goals against the Leafs in his career.
I don't know. That's my thought. He may, but I just don't think it'll happen this year. Yeah, but I'll tell you right now, though, about OV. He's gonna play until he does it. It doesn't matter if it takes him another 10 years. This guy's gonna make sure that he's in the condition to do it, because that's his goal that he's set. And if you know anything about OV, this guy, when he sets a goal, when he gets his mind to something, he does it. And I tell you right now, this guy wanted to win the Stanley Cup so bad, and he kept getting eliminated in the playoffs. And he just said one year, he's like, I'm doing it. And that year that we just didn't think was going to happen, he ends up winning the Stanley Cup. So can he do it? Absolutely. Will he do it? Yes. Will it take him another 5 years, 3 years? It may, but he's going to do it. That's my promise to you.
J-Dog, I know you want to comment on this, but do you think Alexander Ovechkin calls Jaromir Jagr for some support? Stay alive and spend the next 3 years in the NHL. He's 39. Can he do it? 16 goals this year.
He's a machine. He's a machine. He can play another couple of years. There's no doubt, but he's not going to be first and second line. He'll be down to third line next year when he plays. He'll break the record next year. This year, he might get 20 goals, if that. I think 20. He might get 25. The team's a little better than it was last year. I think so. He might get 25, but last year when you guys watched, all they did was he did the same thing over and over and over again. That's why he went for a dump. He's going to have to make himself a little bit more dynamic instead of just standing there at the half board waiting for a big one timer all the time. He's got to he's got to change some things in his game. There's no question, and that's how the guys that have lasted forever. For the most part, most other guys have become more dynamic and changed their game to play longer. He's such an athlete. He hasn't had to up until last year. Most guys start doing that around 32. This guy's 38, and that's when he has to start changing his game. And he's still capable of playing. He can still skate. He can still hammer people. He's built like a tank. He comes from Olympic parents. The guy's a stud. There's no question. And
I remember when he didn't speak a lick of English. Talk about guy with dedication and determination. This guy has determination. Do you remember when he came into the league and couldn't speak a lick of English?
Yeah. J-Dog, go ahead.
Well, I just think it'll be next year. That's all. It won't be this year. I don't think he's strong enough to do it this year.
Yeah, and I agree. It's going to take him a couple years. Like I said, he's going to get it done. He'll play until he gets it done. Wanted to say again, thanks so much for keeping your head up, watching the show tonight. I watched the show this week whenever you get a chance to. We're going to stop doing live shows. Reason being, I want to do videos, and that's how you do videos on YouTube. So this will be our last live show, but we will have a show for you every Wednesday, 8 p.m. We'll release it. If it's not a pregame show, so the Leafs play on Wednesday, we're going to do a pregame. If the Leafs play every Saturday, basically, we're having pregame on Saturday as well. But if the Wednesdays that the Leafs don't play, we're going to have a pregame for you. But a big thank you for watching the show. Keep your head up, stick on the ice. We'll see you next time. Take care and go Leafs go.